Video games can inspire many different emotions. They can make you laugh, they can make you cry, they can make you angry. And today we're going to examine anger in video games by breaking down the history of the internet's original nerd, the original angry gamer. Of course, I'm talking about the angry video game nerd. So, let's take a trip back to the past, shall we? In 2004, James Rolfe created a trilogy in which he reviewed terrible NES games. Those games included Castlevania II Simon's Quest, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and The Karate Kid. Now, these are your regular old video game reviews, but with a twist. It came with the comedic and crude and vulgar slant. Here's an example of this.
Fuck! Fuck! Die! You try to help me now, man?
The name of this trilogy was called Bad NES Games, and at this time, James was known as the Angry Nintendo Nerd. Now, what I'm about to say next is going to shock you. The AVGN as we know it today was never actually intended to become a series. It was originally intended as a 3-episode joke, and nothing more than that. But James's best friend Mike Matei loved these videos so much that he practically pestered him to make another one, which he did with the video game tie-in of the classic 1988 film Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
This is Jessica Rabbit. Well, I got your number and I'm calling just to say fuck you.
I hope you're proud of yourself.
Yeah, well, I hope you're proud of yourself, and you know what I mean, you fucking whore.
I'm not bad. I'm just drawn that way.
Yeah, well, wait till I draw your suicide note in your own blood, you bunny fucking bitch. I'm coming over, I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill your whole motherfucking family.
James caught the attention of Craig Skitsmas and Tom Hanley, aka Stuttering Craig and Handsome Tom of ScrewAttack.com. They enjoyed James's work and wanted to bring it to a mass audience, and so they signed him to an exclusive contract, in which his videos would debut a week early on ScrewAttack.com. The AVGN did for ScrewAttack what South Park did for Comedy Central. It essentially put ScrewAttack on the map, and in my humble opinion, part of the reason why ScrewAttack is so massive today is thanks to the AVGN. A year later, the now-defunct GameTrailers.com acquired the exclusive rights to some of ScrewAttack's programming, including Top 10s, Video Game Vaults, and of course the AVGN. And the rest, as they say, is history. The AVGN exploded in popularity, changing the realm of web video forever and spawning dozens of imitators. And as we all know, success breeds imitators. Once upon a time, there were AVGN clones all over the place, and by the time I joined YouTube in 2007, everybody had already kind of gotten sick of the whole angry reviewing persona because there were all these AVGN clones running around. There were these people foolishly assuming that if they made videos in the exact same manner as James and in the exact same way, then they would become YouTube famous, and I saw a lot of channels fail because of that, because they assumed that the anger was the reason why the AVGN was popular. And don't get me wrong, while the anger was a part of it, the AVGN became the phenomenon that he is because he was an entertaining character to watch. It was because he was funny. It was because the videos were well written. It was because they were smartly edited, beautifully shot. You know, it actually had substance, and it was entertaining. I know I said that already, but I really want to emphasize that. They were entertaining to watch. A lot of these AVGN clones weren't entertaining to watch. And when it all comes down to it, people wanted to watch the AVGN. They didn't want to watch a half-assed, watered-down version of it. And I want to talk about a few AVGN clones in particular, some of the more well-known ones. Of course, you got to talk about the irate gamer. And he's someone that I've never really talked about before on my channel, so I guess this is a good start. To be fair, I mean, I wasn't particularly fond of the irate gamer. No one was. A lot of people felt that he was essentially just a blatant ripoff of James, which you couldn't deny. If you watch some of his videos, he would essentially copy certain words and certain phrases, you know. But out of all the AVGN clones, he was one of the only ones to gain a decent following. And now he's slid into irrelevancy. And I think the reason for that is because he wasn't particularly good. granted, he wasn't the worst video game reviewer of all time. There were a lot of other people that were far worse than the irate gamer. But the problem was, he was just meh. I mean, he was not great. Not terrible, but not great. And people saw through it pretty handily. And I felt like he used that similar style that the AVGN did as kind of a crutch. And instead of trying to develop his own style or develop his own way of looking at things, he just kind of was like, well, it was successful for James, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna copy that exact same formula, and I'm gonna become popular. And, you know, he did. He was even one of the very first YouTube partners, if you can believe it. And, you know, while he was popular for a while, he just slid into irrelevancy, and that was because, like I said before, people wanted to watch the AVGN. They did not want to watch a half-assed, watered-down version of it. And when you look at the fact that people were criticizing the guy left and right, calling him an AVGN clone, that really destroyed his reputation. And on top of that, he was also notorious for taking down videos that criticized him, even though they were well within fair use. I don't really think too highly of the guy because, as I've mentioned before, he took down my friend Eric's commentary on him simply for criticizing him. He falsely flagged it. So yeah, you can see why I don't think too highly of him. And it's truly unfortunate because he could have been great and he had a lot of potential to be great. Hell, even a second fiddle to the AVGN, but it wasn't to be. And you know, it is quite tragic, but you know, it's just a prime example of, you know, imitation isn't the sincerest form of flattery. In a lot of places, it's the sincerest form of laziness, you know. And of course, the Game Dude. I'm pretty sure some of you know who the Game Dude is. He was another blatant AVGN ripoff, even more blatant than the irate gamer. And I can say that his reviews were also they were not good. Let's just put it that way. I mean, I would go into detail about how bad they are, but there's plenty of other videos on YouTube that already do a good enough job of that. Oh God, it was bad. It was really bad. Again, he had the exact same mannerisms and reactions as James, copied the exact same formula, and look where he is. He's also slid into irrelevancy. And oh God, the theme song, the goddamn theme song. It's I wouldn't wish that. I wouldn't wish listening to that theme song even on my worst enemy. It's absolutely god awful, and I mean that sincerely. It is just it's soul crushing. And I'm gonna talk about the last AVGN clone, but this time it's a good one. It's a good one. The happy video game nerd, Derek Alexander, or as he's now known as, Stop Skeletons for Fighting. I really like this guy. I'm subscribed to him on YouTube. He's an awesome content, makes great content. And what I liked about him is that he went in a different direction than the AVGN, whereas the AVGN, you know, reviewed just absolutely awful video games. He reviewed very good video games, and he was an optimist, and he looked on the brighter side of things, and it was really great. And he even acknowledged the fact that he was inspired by the work of James. He even said it in the opening credits. So, you know, and it's a great channel. I feed it's really good. I mean, if you're wondering what he's up to now, he does this really interesting series called Past Mortem, where he looks at past events in video game history and goes into great detail about them, and it's utterly fantastic. And you know, it's okay to be inspired by somebody. It's okay to be creatively inspired, but you know, copying them in an exact format is just, it doesn't really work. And ultimately that's why a lot of these AVGN clones faded into obscurity, because they weren't particularly good, and essentially copied a style that somebody else made popular to compensate for the fact that their videos were not very good. And yeah. Now look, I'm sorry for rambling there. I could go on and on about AVGN clones, but I want to talk about how the AVGN became popular in the first place, and the effect that he had on myself and many others. The AVGN is an endlessly entertaining character to watch because he's like us in many ways. He's a regular person. Granted, yes, I understand that it's a character being portrayed, but the reason why the AVGN was, and still is to this day, extremely popular is because people can relate to him. He has an incredible relatability. Because who hasn't yelled at the TV? Who hasn't screamed and thrown their controllers across the room? Who hasn't gotten frustrated at an incredibly difficult video game? We as gamers have all done that at one point in time, so we can all relate to it and laugh at it because we have all done it, you know? And what James did is that he came on the scene and did something that nobody had ever seen before, something completely original. Granted, yes, game reviews had existed far before AVGN came on the scene, and people had been getting angry at video games ever since, you know, video games were a thing. But he managed to combine the two together to create these angry game reviews. And this character that's just endlessly entertaining to watch, and it's hilarious. I mean, who else could make lines like this hilarious?
Yeah, well, guess what? It gets bad as soon as you press the start button. The fuck was that?
Ghostbusters!
The AVGN's commitment to quality can also not be overstated. Even in its earliest days, this is incredibly evident. The videos are well written, they're funny, they're masterfully edited, beautifully shot. You could tell that he really cares about making the best quality videos for his audience. And he seamlessly combines his two loves, video games and filmmaking, into this one seamless experience it's amazing to watch. And considering we're in an age where games are slowly becoming movies and they're slowly becoming cinematic experiences, this is like that in a lot of ways, just based on how it's shot and how it's all put together. And if you've ever watched the making of AVGN, which I highly suggest you do, the amount of work and effort that goes into producing just a single episode of this series is it's staggering. It's absolutely crazy. It is far more intensive than producing an episode of this series, and that's saying a lot. You know. And I think another reason why he's become so popular and why he's remained relevant, even after all these years, is because he's willing to try new things, and he's willing to branch out. When you have a character as popular as the AVGN, you're kind of compelled to just do that character and nothing more than that, because that's what people want to see. That's your lifeblood. And when you go off to try and do something else, it can be really risky because you don't know if your audience is going to like what else you do besides that character. But if you do the same thing after a while, and any creative person will tell you this, you're going to get creatively burnt out and you're going to get sick of it, and then eventually your audience is going to get it. So he's willing to try these different things, branch off, bring other characters, you know? I mean, it doesn't matter if it's James and Mike Mondays, or Board Games, or Monster Massacres, or You Know It's Bullshit, or any of these other series that he's put out in the last 10 or so years. He's always been willing to try out different things and go beyond the AVGN. Because I can assure you, if he did the AVGN and nothing more, I don't know if he'd still be relevant, because I think people would eventually get sick of it. I don't think he would have quite the staying power that he does now. I mean, just look at the irate gamer, for example. You know, and the last thing I want to point out is his immense influence on YouTube and just video making in general. He inspired dozens of people to make YouTube videos about stuff, about anything that you want. I know personally for me, the AVGN was one of my earliest inspirations. He's part of the reason why I'm making this video, why I make all the videos that I do on my channel. And at the time, I didn't know anything about video making or the process that it entailed. All I knew was that, wow, that's really cool. I want to do that, you know? And here I am now, almost 10 years later. It's crazy, you know? And I can't overstate the amount of influence the AVGN has had on me. You know, it's crazy. And he also showcased what user-generated content was capable of, what YouTubers were capable of. It showed that user-generated content didn't have to be complete crap. It didn't have to be, funny meme videos or funny cat videos or, whatever the case may be. That they could have substance, that they could be entertaining, that they could have a point, even if you want to go that far. And over the last decade or so, the bar for user-generated content has risen quite significantly. There's a lot of YouTubers out there that are making high-quality content, that are making great content. And really for me, part of the reason why I strive so much to produce quality content is because of the AVGN. I mean, I honestly don't think that YouTube would be where it is today. There wouldn't be a YouTube Red or all of the other things we have on YouTube without the AVGN really pioneering the way for other people to come along and, well, make YouTube what it is, And I definitely do think he's going to be popular for the next 10 years, and who knows, even beyond. Because at the end of the day, he's the YouTube version of Bugs Bunny. He's just an entertaining character to watch, and no matter where you look, it doesn't matter if it's now or, I don't know, like 5 years from now, you'll still laugh at it. You still can get a chuckle out of it. You can still be entertained because the AVGN is an entertaining character, and that's the point of the video. That's really what I'm trying to say here. Alright, let's get into my final thoughts. What more can I say about the AVGN? He's an absolute trailblazer. He concept and turned it into a viral phenomenon. He made video games cool at a time when they weren't cool. He defined what user-generated content could be, what YouTubers were capable of, and he inspired dozens upon dozens of people along the way. For those reasons, upon many others, he easily gets my Young Hero seal of approval. I want to thank you guys for supporting the Guide to Surviving the Internet this year. It's been incredibly fun making it. It was an incredibly ambitious thing, at least for somebody like me to do, and I'm glad that you guys are responding to it very well. Granted, yes, there's been a few stumbles and hiccups along the way, but you guys really seem to like it, and that's great because it makes all of the hard work producing it worth it. And the 2017 slate for the Guide to Surviving the Internet is really exciting. I can't wait to tell you guys all about it. I actually have a video planned on that in the new year, detailing it, what the new episodes for the Guide to Surviving the Internet in 2017 will be, so look out for those ones. So with all that being said, this is ThatKidDouglas, aka the Unhero, signing out. Deuces, stay frosty and keep it weird. Cue an outro sequence now. Well, she is the 6th worst channel on YouTube. How bad could she really be?